Let's learn how to make one of the easiest crochet dishcloths there is. Good morning, everybody. This is Deb from Just Do Something Homestead, and today we're going to learn how to crochet the Holey Marriage Stitch. Holey Marriage? What in the world is Holey Marriage? Well, this one is the stitch we're learning today, and it is a kickoff of the marriage stitch. The marriage stitch is very thick, it has texture, and it is wonderful for doing dishes. But a lot of people think it's just a little too thick. So I've been working hard to come up with a new pattern, and this is the Holey Marriage. And that's right, it has spaces that makes it lighter and easier to use. One thing that I like even more than crocheting is creating patterns. But I have 6 requirements that every one of my patterns needs to meet. And here are those 6 requirements. Number 1, easy and repetitive. Number 2, no border. I don't want to come back and have to add something when I'm all finished. Number 3, texture. We're doing dishes, people. We need some texture. Number 4, it looks good with variegated yarn. And I say that because I use a lot of variegated. Number 5, it's got to be fast. I don't have time for this. This is less than an hour. And number 6, I want it to be stretchy. And this pattern is very stretchy. It takes me a couple months to come up with a pattern, but now that we have it, let's learn how to do it. There are only 4 things you need to crochet these dishcloths. First, you need some 100% cotton yarn. This one is sugar and cream, but I also like peaches and cream. You need an H or a 5.00 millimeter hook, a pair of scissors, and a yarn needle. We're going to start by putting a loop on my finger and then onto the hook. So I'm going to wrap it around my finger, then take my hook, go under and over and twist. And that's just going to put a slip knot onto my hook, tighten it up. Now we're going to chain 36. 1, 2, keep on going, 3, 4, and keep going until you have 36 chains on your hook. This is what 36 chain stitches look like. It's probably more than you're used to crocheting for a dishcloth, but because there's so much space, we're adding chains into our stitches. So that's why we need 36 from the start. The Holey Marriage Stitch is an adaptation of the marriage stitch. Now, the marriage stitch is a slip stitch in the first one, followed by a half double crochet, and you just keep doing that across. This one is formed in clusters, and those clusters leave spaces and add chains. So that's what the difference is. But you're going to start in the second loop from your hook and put in a slip stitch. Then in that same space, you're going to put a half double crochet. It's caught on there. There we go. And 1 chain. That is the cluster that forms this entire dishcloth. So super easy. Now here's the trick. You're going to skip 2. 1, 2, and go into the next one after that. Again, repeating with a slip stitch. Then a half double. And ending with a chain. Just like that. Then count again. 1, 2. Go into that third one with a slip stitch, half double, and chain. Now here's the good news. Once you get a couple rows, it's going to be so easy to see that you're not going to have to count to figure out where the next cluster goes. So what I want you to do is go all the way to the end, but don't finish that last stitch. Put a slip stitch in. It should be the second from the last, and we'll pick it up from there. This is what the first row looks like, but we're not quite done. I have put a slip stitch in the second from the end stitch. So you put the slip stitch there. Normally you would put the half double in the same space. We're not. We're going to put the half double in that last chain. And that is going to be the same for every single row. The last 2 stitches is a slip in the first one, half double in the next one, then chain like we always did, and turn. And that is the first row. Let's go to the next one. This big space is the one we're using. So you're going to start with a slip stitch, and then a half double, and then a chain. Now, I said it's going to be much easier. You can turn it and count 1, 2, skip that, but it's going to be the big space. So go in there, put a slip, half double, chain, and keep on going to the end. When we get to the end, I want to show you something special about how to get that last row that always makes the sides straight. I'm at the end of row 2, and what I've done is the slip stitch in the second one from the end. Now I'm going to do my half double crochet. What you want to do is reach down below. Now the second row is a little trickier. Once you get to the third, easy peasy. So keep on going and crochet, slip stitch, half double, chain, skip 2, and repeat. Now when I was making this pattern, at first I didn't use clusters, and what I found was some of those stitches, it was just too difficult to get my hook into. And I thought, well, why don't I just use a cluster instead? And that's the pattern we're using. All right, meet you at the end. This is the end of the third row, and now it's super easy to see where to put your hook for the last stitch. So you're going to do a half double. You want to go down a row, and it'll be a looser stitch, which is a V facing down. That is going to give you a complete smooth edge on your crochet. And this is it. You just keep on doing these clusters of a slip stitch, half double, chain, skip 2, and just keep going. And you will be able to watch TV, talk to someone, and it's going to be super easy. You're not going to get lost. This is your finished project, and what I want to show you is how to count how many rows. I actually don't count each row. I count every other row because it's easy to see these loops on the outside. So what you're looking for is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So some of them are 13, some of them are 14. What I always do is measure. So measure it, first your width and then your height, so you get a perfect square. And by reaching down into the row when you get to the end, this is that smooth border that is automatically added to your dishcloth. So you don't need to go back and sew on, say, a yellow or a white border all the way around. It already has a beautiful one. When you're finished, you need to weave in the loose ends. There should be 2 from where you started and where you ended. What I like to do is to slip it in between a piece of paper, and then that easily fits into the eye of the needle. So I can take this, slide it through that eye, and I will thread my needle. This is what I'm talking about. Then slip that paper in through the eye, and you'll easily be able to pull it through. So I'll see if I can do it one-handed. If I can do it one-handed, you easily can do it two-handed, just like that. And look, it threads your needle. I don't have any great technique for weaving in these loose ends except to go over your stitches several times. So I'm going to go both this way and then turn it around, go that way, and come back several times. That way you have the best chance of your ends not coming out with heavy use. If you have watched my channel for any amount of time, you know I love to package and give gifts of my crocheted items. And the one question that comes up more than anything else is, where do you buy your labels? Well, I don't buy my labels. I create my labels. So in the back row, these are actually a set of coasters. And then I have my dishcloths. I also have scrubbies, towels, anything that I make a sleeve to wrap around them. And no, I don't have a link to share, but I do want to show you how to do them. First off, you're going to go to a Word program and turn your document so it's facing landscape. Then you're going to want to put 3 labels per page. Now, the reason that I have the line here, it gives me something to use as a basis when I cut them apart. It's easier to make them straight if you're following a line. Next, I just copy them with my old copier at home onto craft cardstock. That means this is a little bit thicker. It's not as thick as cardboard, but it is much thicker than paper. I cut them by hand following that line. They're not perfect, but they don't need to be. And then I wrap it around my dishcloth and I use plain old Scotch tape. That is how I package all of my products. And as far as cute containers, I buy almost every one of these containers from my local Goodwill when they're 50% off. I buy them throughout the year, so I always have a choice of different ones. These I like because it actually has a place for your soap as well as other things. This is a jar opener and a dishcloth. And if you're interested in these other projects that I have made, like my coaster sets or my scrubbies, all of these are on the playlist of my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video on one of the easiest dishcloth patterns there is, then please like, subscribe, and share. Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye-bye.